Okay.
Hello, Gary. We are so glad to hear you and see you. How are you today? You were in the States, but now you're in the UK. So how was it?
We came to London. We're just outside London, actually. We're in the country, but about a week ago today, and I'm here until the end of August. I've got some things to do here, family and things like that.
Okay.
There's a festival that we're playing at on August 21st. So there's that. There's some meetings with record company and other things to talk about the album and how it's going. Just things. Yeah, there's just things going on. But I've been meeting up with the band again, so that'd be good. We're going to be sorting out, the music we're going to play for the festival and for the American tour that's coming up fairly soon as well. So it's good to be here for a while and just, it's okay doing things online, trying to organize things online, but sometimes just being there in person and getting everybody together, it just helps to make things run smoothly.
Yes, of course. That's a reality that we are just partially living because here we are just starting to see live shows in small venues, but we are opening, but very, very slowly. We don't have big shows announcements, but no, we're just hungry for culture and music here, and well, the all this thing about the pandemia has hidden many lives. So we are glad that everything is moving on right now.
Yeah, it's scary though. Yeah,
It is.
I'm not very comfortable with what's going on, but it's you make a decision and the American tour, for example, the one that starts in September. I'm very worried about that one. Because there are so as you move around America, the states. Some states are very good, very cautious, very careful, and the vaccination has been quite successful. Some of the other states, not so good. Not many people are vaccinated. A very bad attitude towards it. Very Trumpian kind of attitude. It's not real and all that nonsense. So as you move across America, your exposure to the danger of the virus kind of increases and goes up and down as you go to different areas. So I'm very concerned about the areas that are not so good. That no one's going to wear a mask, no one's going to make them. And you're kind of in front of that every night. So it is a worry. We are doing meet and greets, for example, but I've made it essential that there is no meet and greet unless you bring proof of vaccination, 2 vaccinations.
Okay. Right.
And I want to see. I don't want to meet anybody that isn't properly vaccinated. Don't want anyone in the building really, but I can't enforce that. But I can certainly say if you want to come and meet me, you've got to be vaccinated. It's too dangerous otherwise. So it just feels like that by going back to live work, it's a really good thing, and it's very exciting. And I think the world needs it, but it feels a little bit like walking in a minefield. At any second it can just blow up and all come apart again. And at the moment, I was reading this morning, even in America, things are going backwards a little bit. The infection rate's going up, the mask mandates are back on. So, we're a long way from this being over, very long way. And in some respects, I think bringing live music back into it is, it's dangerous.
Yeah,
it really is for some of us. Yeah.
So Gary, let's talk about the new album. We are very interested on it. What are the key concepts in Intruder, the new album?
There's only one really. The main idea behind it is if the planet could speak, if it could express the way it feels about what's happening now and us, human beings in general, what would it say? And so every song on the album is my attempt to give the planet that voice. As far as I'm concerned, the planet would feel, disappointed, frustrated. It would be disillusioned. Definitely, it would be hurt, physically and mentally. It would be angry, I'm sure. And would it want to fight back? Is it already fighting back? Has it been fighting back for some time? And so all that really is what the album is saying. It's expressing its disappointment and its frustrations. It's explaining why it's fighting back, why it needs to. That we have pushed the planet into a corner. There's a song on the album called "The End of Dragons," and that's I tried to draw a similar kind of argument between what we did with dragons. I know dragons are not real, but I love dragons. I want them to be real. I wish they were real. I choose to believe that they were real, and so I drew a similarity between the mythology of dragons and what we supposedly did to dragons by pushing them into a corner and eventually, making them extinct, and what we're doing to the planet, which is much the same, in that we're pushing it into a corner where it has to fight back to survive. The difference being, of course, that from our point of view, there is no win situation. If we win the battle against the planet, we destroy it and us with it. And if we lose a battle with the planet, then it destroys us. Be that with viruses or diseases or horrendous weather or whatever. It's an unwinnable situation from the human being's point of view. And again, the album is trying to express the futility of that and the frustration that the planet feels because of that. It's kind of saying, what are you doing? This is the maddest thing ever. You're at war with the thing that you need to survive. Without the planet, there is no you, and yet you appear to be doing everything you can to destroy it as quickly as possible, and it's ridiculous, really. But that is really what Intruder is all about. Every song is meant to be the voice of the planet.
And I think that is why musically the album is it's more aggressive in terms of this mixture between rock and industrial elements. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. I think I think it tries to run a range of emotions, really, not just aggression, although that's certainly in it on songs like The Chosen and Intruder and so on. It's definitely there. But I try to find a wider range of emotions because the earth isn't just angry. It's really sad, and it is frustrated, and it is disillusioned and disappointed. It is all of those things, and to try to find different emotions within it was essential, really. So I am scream. The song called "I Am Screaming." That talks about its frustration, that it's given us all these signals and all these clear signs that it's struggling, and we seem to be taking little notice of it. So that's frustration. It's like the Dragon song. I think the Dragon song is very sad. It's not a cheerful song. But then you move into The Chosen, and it's the earth is angry with that one. So I did try to make it, as varied an emotional experience as possible. I didn't just want it to be angry, because I don't think that would be true.
You work with your long-time partner, Abe Fenton, on this record. How would you define your relationship with him?
Well, it's fantastic, actually, and it's got better over the years. He was my friend before, anyway. So he was a good friend for quite some years, and then various things happened, and he started to work on music, and he got into production, and I was really impressed with what he was doing. So we worked on one album together, called Jagged, I think, and I was very cautious. I gave him one song to work on, because I wasn't sure whether he would suit my music or not, and that was really good. And I gave him another one because I still wasn't sure, and that was really good. So we made the commitment to the album, but it was quite difficult to begin with. We argued a lot. I didn't have a lot of. I was a terrible boss, because I'm kind of looking over his shoulder the whole time, going, "Are you sure?" "Oh, I don't think so," and I think I was slightly frustrating for him. And then we made another one, and then another one, and as the relationship has gone on, I've learned to really have a lot of trust in what he does, and sometimes he takes the songs in areas that I hadn't intended, and whereas before I would have said, "Oh no, absolutely not," now I just go, "Oh, okay, let's see where that goes," and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I have to say then, actually that good idea, but it doesn't really work. But sometimes it does, and so he needs to have that freedom to explore and to take the songs in different directions, because it will make a better album. I send him things. I record the songs at home. I produce everything up to a fairly good level, fairly complete level, and then I send them to him. And the reason for that is so that he has a really good idea about what I want from a song, the dynamics of it, the big moments, the quiet parts, all the melodies, everything is there. The vocal is done and finished, so the lyrics are all done. So when he gets the song, he gets pretty much a complete finished song. So he knows what I want from it. And then he has a choice. He can either work with that and make that better, or sometimes you think, actually, we could try something completely different with that, and so that's where we're at now, that I'm happy for him to do that, and I wasn't before. So it's got better and better. It was good anyway. It was always good. There was quite a lot of arguing, as I say, but it was healthy. It was all to try to make a better record. It wasn't me and him arguing. It was all about the musical things. But now I think with Savage before, that was really cool, really easy, really good relationship. And with Intruder, even more so, I think. I think trust is a lot of it. I now trust him, and don't feel that need to kind of check every little thing he's doing at every stage. And he now trusts me that if I eventually say, I've listened to what you think and I've tried this new version, but it doesn't work for me, then he doesn't argue. He just says, okay, and we go back and start again, which is great. So there's no friction.
When you were here in Chile presenting Savage, there was a whole imaginary. The show was looking in a certain way. How are you going to present Intruder live? Do you have any idea on that?
Yeah, we're doing a similar thing actually. The album has a look. The way I am, we have the stripes on the face.
It's darker. It's not kind of desertic as the previous one.
That's right. Much darker. The choice of grey for the clothing was deliberate. The lines on the face were all deliberate. mean, it's a very poor attempt, a very bad attempt to trying to look like a virus, actually. Terrible. But as an album cover, it works quite well. And so we've done a similar thing. We have, the band, as we did with Savage, the band all look, we all look a similar way. So we've done the same thing with Intruder. Again, we're doing, we all have variations of the makeup. So we look like a band, everyone together. It depends a little bit where we're playing as to what the show's going to be. The bigger places that you can do, we'll have the screens at the back and maybe running video and all that. But with a very I'm putting that together now, actually, so I don't know exactly how it's going to come out. But we take all of the outtakes from the promotional videos that we make. For the 4 minutes of film you see on the promo for the various singles, there is hours and hours of footage actually taken. And so we take all of that and then we start to build new films to go with the other songs on the album, so that it gives the show a certain look. The majority of filming done for the Intruder singles have all been in black and white. And so that gives a vibe. It's not, it won't all be that, because there'll be songs from other albums and so on, but it will just keep coming back to this darker vibe, with the volcanoes and the lava rock and so on. But I am still working on that, so it's not done yet. So I can't say exactly what it's going to be, because I don't honestly know yet until it's all finished. But it will be, I suppose the easiest way to say it would be very much like what we did with Savage, in that it all has that theme to it. But now the theme is different, so it will all relate to the new theme, to the look of Intruder and the subject of Intruder, and the visual from the singles from Intruder as well.
When you played the shows here in Chile, I personally saw some local metal musicians in your show. It was great, and it turns that you have collaborated with some heavy metal musicians like Fear Factory, Nine Inch Nails. What is your relationship with those acts, and are you interested in heavy music as well as electronic music, for example?
I don't listen to music much at all, actually, of any kind. I can't remember the last time the last time I sat down and listened to an album for pleasure, was probably about 30 years ago, maybe 25, 30 years ago. Most of my, I know it's strange, isn't it? I feel a bit embarrassed about that, actually, because I should be listening to music all the time, because it's my living, it's my world, really. But I really don't. I don't listen to radio. I don't listen to music in the car. I don't listen to music on my phone. I went out today, for example, I went out for a walk with the children, and all three children got their phones and their earphones in, and you're sort of walking along together, but you're not really, because I'm talking to them, they can't even hear me. But they're into it. They're listening to music all the time. They'll be doing it now. They'll be in their rooms listening to music now. And they get very frustrated with me that I don't do that. I don't want to listen to music. And so I don't really have much of a relationship with other bands of music. I mean, I know Trent Reznor really well. I know Burton from Fear Factory really well. So as people, yes, we hang out and we chat and we occasionally do things together and go to each other's houses and that sort of thing. But I don't when I don't want to talk about music with them, that's not what I'm hanging out with them for. I don't know really. I make music, and when I'm making music, it's really important, and I put a huge amount of time and thought into it, and I take it very seriously, and I do find it stressful making albums, but I enjoy it. I love the finished result when all the hard work is done and all the stress is over. You end up with something to be proud of, and I'm proud of it. But when I'm not making albums, I don't really have anything to do with music at all. I used to go to see bands before the pandemic. I think that was how I got my feel, if you like, my intake of music. It would be from going to see people live. I enjoy that. That's great. But if I'm at home and I want to relax, then the last thing I think of is putting on an album. Mm-hmm. So I suppose in that sense, I have a pretty bad relationship with music. Other people in it. Yeah, I know it's strange actually. I mean, when I was younger, it was everything. I would come home from school, go to my room, listen to music all night, dream about being in a band. All I talked about with my friends was music, and some friends would get together and we'd just badly try to play other people's songs. That it was my whole life, and then you end up having it as a career, and after a while, I think the way you see it changes. I guess for me it did anyway. So I love it, and I love going to see bands, and I get really excited at gigs, and I love the atmosphere of it. I love my own part of it. I love making records and touring, especially. That's the best bit of it, touring. But I don't actually sit at home and listen to music for pleasure at all. So I don't know what's around. If you said to me, what do you think of that number one album? I wouldn't know what it is. I don't know what's number one. I don't know who's in the chart. I don't know what the new. Somebody asked me. I had a questionnaire the other day to fill in. They wanted to know, what new bands would I recommend? No idea. No, I don't know who a new band is. It's. I mean, I might do, but I don't know they're new. New to me, maybe, but probably been around for 10 years. I don't know. I just got to live in my own bubble, and I'm sort of happy. I'm happy there, and because of the pandemic, I've not even been going out to see bands, obviously, for a year and a half or so. So I'm really out of touch now, really badly out of touch.
Well, there is a story, and you can tell me if this is true or not, that your first record was supposed to be a punk record, but suddenly you discovered a synthesizer in the studio, and you changed your mind totally.
Yeah.
Can you please tell us about that kind of a revelation moment?
Yeah, of course. Went to a studio to make the first record. We've been signed as a punk band. We were a three-piece punk rock band, guitar, bass, and drums. Guitar and singer, that was me. Bass player, drummer. We went to the studio to record the debut album, and was really just going to be the songs that we were playing live, those 10, 11 songs from our live shows. And we get to the studio, and the other two were unloading the equipment. They were, the amps and the guitars and the drum kit, they were putting that into the studio. And I went into the control room just to say hello and introduce us and, talk to the engineer about what we wanted to do. And in the room, in the corner, was a synthesizer called a Mini Moog. Very small little thing. Yeah. I'd never seen a real one before. I wasn't even that interested in synthesizers. I hadn't heard much that I'd liked. Some things, Brian Eno, Kraftwerk, some of the Bowie and Brian Eno things, I'd like that. But not enough to want to do it. Not enough to turn me on to electronic music. I just thought it was interesting. Anyway, so I wasn't a massive, fan of electronic music at all. Didn't know much about it. But I said, but I was fascinated with the machine. It looked so cool, switches and dials and great, like the Starship Enterprise with the keyboard. Yeah, it's fucking great. And I said to the engineer, could I try that? Because it looks really cool, So he plugged it in and turned it on. And I didn't know how to play keyboards then at all. So I one finger, I went, pressed the key, and it was the most amazing thing I'd ever heard at that point. And it was whoever had it before me, before that session, I'd left it on that famous kind of low, growly Moog sound, and it was massively impressive. And I pressed this one key, and it roared, this massive sound came out of it, and the floor shook, and you felt the sound as much as you heard the sound. Whoa! It was amazing, absolutely amazing. Couldn't believe it, and so I carried on. I didn't help them unload the car. I carried on twiddling and make some other sounds, and and by the time they'd finished unloading the car, I said to them, everything's different. Everything. I said, all those songs that we've been playing, no, everything's changed now. I said, listen to this. This is the best thing ever. And so for the next 3 or 4 days, we adapted those songs. We took a lot of the guitar parts off of them. We replaced them with synthesizer parts. We added new layers. And I didn't know anything about synthesizers, so it was very amateur, very basic, quick change it, beep, 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 and it would go, oh no, oh, that's good. We record that very quickly. So it was really exciting and it was really good fun. But it was not what the record company wanted. So when we went back to the record company with that album, they were really unhappy. Really, really unhappy. So we had this massive argument. And my point was that, this is, I thought that punk was dying anyway. It was finished. It was, by the time I started to become involved in it, it was already fading away. But electronic music was not. Electronic music was this new, amazing thing. Yeah, going up. And so my argument was, I said, you have a chance here to be at the very beginning of something radically different. This is going to revolutionize music. It would change everything. And we can be right at the front of it, right at the beginning of it, or nearly. Or you can make me go back and make a punk album, and we can be right at the end of something that's dying, I'm just going to plug my laptop in. The battery's dying. 1 second. There we go. So we had this massive argument about it, and it got really silly. We had, at one point we actually stood up, was gonna, it got really, really, really childish, incredibly childish. Because they were young as well. The people that owned the record company were barely out of university. I think they were early 20s, mid 20s maybe, and I was 20, 21. So a lot, quite passionate about what you believed in. But it was, but I meant it. I really believed that it was going to change everything. Not me necessarily, but the instrument, the synthesizer, was going to change everything. And I wanted to be a part of it. And I found it very exciting, and I thought the possibilities for it were just unlimited. It was. What I loved about it most of all was that it made sound the most important thing, not technique, not scale, not none of that, just sound. One finger on one key could give a sense of menace and power that nothing else could. And I was absolutely taken with it. it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and I loved being a part of it. And so I won the argument, and they did put the album out, and it did okay, but by then, they're on board now. They're okay with me doing more. So I did another one. I think about 5 months or 6 months later, I was writing lots of songs very, very quickly, and that one went to number one. So we went from never having seen a synthesizer to being the number one electronic band in about 6 months. And I still didn't know anything about it. I was doing interviews with technology magazines, about synthesizers. I didn't know anything. Because you're number one, people think you're an expert. They think you know all about it. I knew nothing. I would make up the most stupidest answers, and because I didn't even understand the question, let alone the answer. Yeah, it's good fun. It's really exciting, really, really exciting. I loved it. It's a really, really great period.
And you were right, because 40 years later, many musicians nowadays, they are looking for that sound, and they try to sound like that era. So, Gary, we have been talking a lot of time. This interview has been very, very, very fun. So so I appreciate that. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and for talk with us in regards.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.
It has been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Hope to see you again.